he can think. What about the computers that you are using every day in your offices, in your home? Did you create that computer? Did you create the program? Did you create the materials that it is made out of? No, you didn't. Someone designed it. It did not design itself. It did not self-create. Someone made it, designed it, maintains it, repairs it, runs the program, develops more programs, facilitates, teaches, gives orientation, just about a machine. What about the mind that created that machine? Is that mind self-created? If I asked any one of you, or I told you, I brought with me in my briefcase a 986 computer, a 986. I made it from my mind, and I made it in an instant. Last night I made it. And after I decided to make it, I called it, and it came down, and it's here. 986. Would anybody here believe me? No, you wouldn't, because you know the fastest computer they have right now that is a PC is a 486. And it took hundreds of technicians and thousands of research hours and millions of dollars to develop the research that went into that machine, and it may be another 4 or 5 years before they take it another step. How in the world could I tell you that I brought a 986 here and made it from my mind in an instant? You don't accept that. That's just a machine. What about the mind that made the human brain? What about that? What about the power that made the human brain? Look how the human brain functions, mechanically that is, because the neurosurgeons, the doctors of psychiatry, the scientists who studies the mind, they are not sure, after all of these years, they are not sure what actually produces thought. They have certain theories which they call synapses, electrical and chemical impulses that take place in the body, that come into the brain through the blood. And when these synapses take place, they jump a gap inside of the cell of the brain. And that gap activity creates motion inside of the brain and creates a signal inside the brain, just like inside of a electrical wire. There is electrical synapses taking place. That activity in some way creates thought, and those thoughts are regulated, orchestrated, divided, in such a way that it cannot be humanly understood. Not only that, but a decision takes place in the mind in the billionth of a second in a way that we cannot understand how the mind decides to make that decision. And not only that, thousands of decisions are made simultaneously by the brain, and we still don't know how the brain does that. What about the one who designed that brain? Let's go further. What about the X-ray machines? We know what it does. How does it do it? What about nuclear medicine? What about the satellites in the sky? What about submarines in the bottom of the ocean? What about the B-1 stealth bomber? What about the World Trade Center or the Jam June Center? Could I tell you that those buildings came together by themselves? Is it harder to build the World Trade Center? Is it harder to build the Jam June Center? Or is it harder to build or create a human being? We have to marvel at whatever power, source that created this world and the human being, because it is the human being that is creating all these other things that we say represent technological progress. What about the heart? It is beating some millions of times in the course of your life, consistently. There's no other motor that's known to man that is beating so consistently without stopping, and nothing maintaining it except whatever force it was that started it beating from the beginning. What about the kidneys? The kidneys are doing 137 chemical analyses at once throughout the course of your life, and you take it for granted. Who created this kidney? What about the oceans? What about the mountains? What about the insects, the birds, the marine life? What about this earth and the solar system that this earth is a part of? What about that? This earth is one planet among 11 planets in the solar system. And our sun is one of the smallest stars in the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is only one galaxy among billions of galaxies that we know about. And beyond those galaxies that we know about, they say there is nothing. There's somewhere in outer space where sound stops and returns back to us. That means there is nothing for the sound to even resound off of. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that His throne is beyond that. Subhana Rabbi al-Ala. All of this has to reflect a designer, a maker. It had to originate somewhere. It reflects intelligence. It reflects design, practicality, engineering, education. Otherwise, how could we study it if it did not have measurement and design that we could rely upon, that did not vary from time to time? What about pregnancy? We know the mechanical stages of pregnancy, but how does it take place? If you took the ovary of a woman and the semen of a man in one hand, the ovary in one hand, the semen in another hand, and mix them together, would that somehow create the fertilization process just because they met? No. There is some other will and some other phenomena that inside of that semen there is a billion of small protozoa, whatever they call them, and only one fertilizes the egg. Only one is determined to fertilize that egg, and if it doesn't, the egg goes through the complete cycle of menstruation and passes out. You and I came about from the will of that determination of that one fertilization process. And there's no two of you. Even if you had a twin, even if there were triplets, even if there was quintuplets, there was no 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of you. Each one of you has your own identity, and each one of you have your own fingerprints. Each one of you have your own time to die, and each one of you have your own personality. Who is it that designed that? My respected brothers, this world must have a creator. This world, in order to maintain itself, must have a sustainer. All of you went to school, and that school had to have an administrator. It had to have teachers. It had to have books. If I told you that we will give you a scholarship to a university, but there's no teachers, and there's no books, and there's no administrator there, would you be interested to go to that college, that university? No, you wouldn't. How then that you think that this vast universe, with all of its systems that we know about and that we don't know about, you think, or some people claim, that there is no administrator, and that there is no manual, and that in this life and what we call life, there was no major teachers? How could you think that? I say to you that this world must have a creator. And that creator must have complete knowledge. For if there was anything he didn't know about, how could he create it? And if he didn't know about it, how could he maintain it? He must have complete knowledge. He must be the originator. There must not be anyone else along with him. For if someone helped the creator, and that someone was not around, that creator would not know what to do with what they created. There must only be one, and that one must be absolute in power and in knowledge and in existence. That one must be the supreme controller of everything. Everything must be under that creator's power and domain. That creator must be the manager and the supreme executive. He must be able to do what he wants, when he wants, to whomever he wants, wherever he wants. And he must not be restricted by time or distance or measurement. That creator must be one. That God must be one. He must be only. He must be eternal. He must be absolute. For if those qualities did not reside in him, there would be flaws and imperfections like the things that he has made. That creator must be more intelligent